It's another blustery cold day out there, but we are getting ready to do some cozy winter baking inside. I mixed a couple of doughs last evening. What I do then is just cover them with some plastic wrap and stick little sticky notes on so that I know what is what in the morning. But I also have a couple more recipes that hopefully I have time to actually mix and then bake this morning. It's currently 7:45 in the morning and I have about till noon, so let's see what all we can get done. I think I'm going to start with my sandwich bread because this does need to rise for 3 to 4 hours. And while you're watching, I would love to know in the comments below, what is something that you are baking in your kitchen these days that your family is really enjoying? I know personally, with 5 kids, we go through a lot of like bread type things. And so it's always fun to get some inspiration and some new ideas that way. But we'll start with dividing this dough in half here, and then I'll split it between the 2 loaf pans. This bread dough is part all-purpose flour and part fresh milled, but I'll leave the recipe, what I did, in the description box below. To let the air pockets out, and then I will actually cover these with saran wrap just so they don't dry out while they rise that long. Something that really helps me stay on track when I have multiple things like this going is my little sticky notes. So now that I've put my bread in the pans, I'm just gonna write ready to bake at 12. And that way I can quickly glance over, especially because we'll also have a couple more things here that need to rise, but for different times. And it just helps me not to feel so busy in my head if I could just quickly glance over at like, okay, this time I need to pop this in or whatever. Okay, next up, I think let's go for the bagels. I have a big dough of bagels ready here. I also try doing that partly fresh milled. It's my first time trying those that way, so I hope we still get a nice rise on them, but we won't know until we try. So let's do that. Oh, that's a beautiful dough though. Another thing that has me a little bit hesitant over this particular dough is my KitchenAid does not do really well with really stiff doughs, so it kept just like quitting on me and getting too hot, and so we tried just kneading this by hand most of the ways, but you want to get to a really good elasticity with something like a bagel dough, so we'll see. Okay, let's divide this into 16, hopefully equal pieces. And you know what? I think we're gonna move the doughs over to this counter so that we can keep working on other dough here while the bagels rise, because they will need to rise after we have them in balls, and then we'll actually get the hole in them after that. I'm gonna pull out my kitchen scale here just to see if we are even. So hoping we would get some sunshine. I think we're only supposed to have like 2 days of sunshine this week, and today was supposed to be one of them. We woke up and it was this beautiful morning. It was so foggy and everything just looked kind of magical and mystical, but I am so happy to just see that sunshine again. Definitely starting to get some spring fever over here. Okay, we have these all shaped into balls now, so I'm actually going to cover them with a damp towel, and then we'll let them sit for an hour. I am so excited that the collection finally arrived in time for try-ons. I know so many of you have been asking, when are New Flora try-ons coming back? And so I'm really excited to share the January collection with you. If you're new here, New Flora releases a new collection every single month. They have a lot of beautiful, beautiful pieces, and they're really big on natural fibers, which I really love, and then also colors you'd find in nature. They do tend to sell out pretty quickly on release day, so my advice is always, if you're eyeing a certain piece, try to be there when they launch, which this month is this coming Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and my discount code GOLDENHOUR10 is good on the entire website. So starting off strong here with two beautiful pieces. This is the Loveland dress paired with the Yukon cardigan. Now, this dress is such a comfy, versatile piece. In fact, it's that beautiful cotton gauze fabric. The front and back are smocked, and so it is nursing friendly, bump friendly. And then I love how on the bottom it has this little lace detail. I'm 5'7" and I'm wearing a small in this one. And this cardigan is also 100% cotton. It has this fun little detail here. These are actually like raised. There you go. You can see it. But it has that front and back. It's super comfy. It is a little oversized. I'm in an extra small, and it's still, I'd say it's just a perfect like cozy fit. Next up, I have the Lakewood dress. And by the way, it has the most beautiful little blue florals. I thought that would be fun to pair with the Vienna coat in blue, because the blues are almost identical and add such a fun little pop of color. This dress is lined, which is super nice, and also 100% cotton. I know I'm sometimes bad with showing length. Can you see it? It hits me just above the ankle. It has this beautiful little ruffle detail front and back. And I got a small in that one, and then the Vienna coat. So they had this one in more of a taupe color a couple months ago. I got that one in a small, and it was just plenty big and roomy, and so I got an extra small this time. I would say it's fairly forgiving. I love that these belt loop holes are more towards the back, so you can make it look a little bit more tailored by pulling that tight, but it also wraps around nice and cozy for when you're actually heading outside and it is freezing cold. But I would say even with the extra small, this is going to be big enough to layer sweaters, chunky cardigans, and things like that underneath. Something about the Harlansdale dress just has me itching to get out in the garden, go have a nice summer picnic, and I think it's this beautiful, I don't know, kind of like greenish, I would say it's a muted green gingham print. I feel like you could totally pull that off with the Yukon cardigan as well. All of their pieces from one collection to the next are very focused on mixing and matching. So I could wear this with probably a cardigan from 3 years ago in their September collection, and it would go just fine. It does have nice deep pockets, and the dress as well as the lining, which yes, it has, again, both are 100% cotton. The drawstring here is functional, and that string actually goes all the way across the top here and then down. So you can pull it tighter, but I would say like not like crazy. It'll start to kind of bunch and look a little bit odd, but technically it is functional. And then of course with the smocked top, it would be nursing friendly, definitely bump friendly with the smocking as well. I feel like, can you even see that? But this one hits me at the ankle. The Gentry dress is back this month in I think 3 new colors. So I was having a little bit of a hard time picking which one, but this shade of blue is one of my very favorites of all time. It's this kind of dusty sky / baby blue. And then it has these beautiful little, I don't know if you can see that, kind of like a vintage floral, I would say, in white. And so just a really like dainty, fun piece that adds a little bit of color. Now, one of my favorite things about this dress is this little ruffle on the sleeves. It's not tight at all, so super, super comfortable, but it has just enough like structure that if you're cooking in the kitchen and want to pull up your sleeves, you can do that and it will hold them, but it's not restricting at all. So this one also has that smocked top, making it nursing friendly, and then of course bump friendly as well. It has pockets and hits me again right above the ankle. Okay, switching over to, first of all, this pair of jeans, easily my most comfortable pair of jeans right off the bat. I love that these are stretchy, and then I don't know, just the cut of them I feel like is really good. It's more of a straight leg. They do have a raw hem, but just a really, really comfortable like mom jean, if you will. And then I paired that with the Gardenville blouse. I love that this whole entire neckline is adjustable. So with these strings, it literally goes the entire way around. You could make this up to your collar tight, or you could have it more of like off the shoulder if that's your vibe, but very adjustable in that way. And then of course buttons are functioning, making it easy nursing access. And I don't know if the print is showing up for you. Oh, there we go. I think we got it. It's a very, very like delicate little gingham. And then this is the Oakley blouse. Now for this one, I actually sized up, which might be confusing to you. It is plenty wide, like quite oversized, I would say, down here, but I have very wide shoulders, football shoulders, if you will. And so with a blouse type top, I just so easily find them to be too small on the shoulders, making them tight and like they don't look nice. Anyway, so I sized up to a medium and I would say this fits much better. But those are my favorites from the January collection. I will leave the link for that as well as my discount code in the description box below. But now let's head back to the kitchen. I know we haven't quite taken care of all of my doughs that I had mixed last evening, but this other dough, which is I love it for hamburger buns, and that's what the actual recipe is for, but it also works really well as like hoagie rolls or hot dog buns, so I'm not quite sure exactly what I'll shape it into yet, but I'm thinking the kids would really love some hot dog rolls. When we had the pigs butchered, we did some of them into hot dogs, and so I think that would be a special treat. So I think I'll do some of them that way, and then maybe I'm thinking some big hoagie rolls would be nice as well. But they need to rise for a while. So I want to quickly mix those up here before we proceed with the stuff that I had already mixed last evening. And the reason that I'm doing this morning, by the way, is because I just realized I don't think I have enough starter to do a double recipe, so I'm gonna have to stick with probably just hot dog rolls today. I was planning to do a double recipe anyway, but it is a yeast, it uses yeast in the dough, and so it's a quick rise technically. So overnight doesn't work for that. I've tried using just active starter and it works, but they're not as fluffy. And so I'll do all fresh milled for this, see how that turns out, and then we'll use the discard and yeast as well. We're gonna do 200 grams of warm water with 2 teaspoons yeast, and then I'll give that a gentle stir and we'll let this sit for about 5 minutes to bloom. And then we're going to take about 100 grams of sourdough starter, and this can be discard. You know what? I have enough to do this recipe double. All right, well then I'm gonna also add more water and yeast so that I can actually do this a double recipe, and we'll do everything double from now on. Okay, so since I am now doubling the recipe, I guess I should have put in my starter first, but I let this sit for another 5 minutes since I added the extra water and yeast. So if that was confusing, basically I have 400 grams warm water, 4 teaspoons of yeast in here, as well as 200 grams of sourdough discard. That's what we got here so far. So next we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of avocado oil. And then we'll do 2 eggs. And then I'm still playing around a little bit with the exact amount of fresh milled flour to add, but I've been doing about 710 grams, and that's been working pretty well. Then I'm gonna add in about a 1/4 cup of raw honey. Okay, and then finally 3 teaspoons of salt. Okay, beautiful. We're gonna put this on the stand mixer. I'm gonna let this knead with a dough hook for like 5 to 10 minutes, get it good and elastic, and then we'll put it in a greased bowl and let this rest for at least an hour. In the meantime, we can finally pick up our pretzel dough. The kids will be so excited to have these on the menu. It is definitely a favorite for lunches, and it's also something that freezes well. But basically, I have my pretzel dough here, and then I have some bologna. This is beef bologna from when we get cows butchered. We often get some made into bologna, and then I also have some mozzarella string cheese here. So what we're gonna do is basically roll up the cheese in the bologna, and then we're gonna wrap some of this pretzel dough. I just like to pinch off a bit of it and then just kind of squish it around there. And then we're gonna dip this into a baking soda water mixture and sprinkle it with pretzel salt and then bake them. And they are so delicious, either plain or with tomato soup. Dip them in that, or with a honey mustard dipping sauce. So many options depending on how fancy you want to go. The kids eat these for barn snacks or for lunches anytime I let them practically. So we're gonna wrap those up now and get them in the oven. This is a cup of water with a tablespoon of baking soda. I'm just gonna dip this in here and then we'll sprinkle with pretzel salt. Working on my second pan here, and I ran out of bologna, so I think the rest of my dough, which isn't much left, but I'll just turn this into pretzel buns. And we'll bake these at 500 for about 5 minutes. Okay, the pretzel buns are done. I'm gonna douse these in butter, quite literally, but we'll put our other pan in, and then the timer just went for the bagels, so that means they are ready to have them shaped. So basically I'll just stick my thumbs through and then make the hole. I'll show you that here in a minute while these bake. And I'm just gonna take both of my thumbs and basically just rip a hole in the middle. This hole does close as they rise and bake, so you want to make it fairly good sized. And then we'll let these rise for another hour. As I work my way through, I'm gonna add a good layer of flour because I do not want them sticking to the countertop here as they rise. Okay, next I have, these are chocolate chip scones that I also mixed last evening. I just mixed it and then shaped it into a disc right away and then popped it into the fridge. So this morning we just need to cut it and we will baste it with some heavy cream and bake it. So pretty quick and simple. Next up, I want to make some biscuits. These have been on repeat at our place, and I'm actually pulling it from this cookbook, Prairie Flour. If you're into fresh milled breads, anything, they have a lot of really good recipes in here, and for the most part that have turned out really well. But these specifically are such a favorite. They're cheese biscuits, and so really what can go wrong, right? But they use 100% fresh milled flour, and they are so easy to throw together. So we're gonna make those next. I'm gonna make a couple of alterations. I'll leave in the description box below the way that I am gonna do it, but it is very similar to what's in this cookbook. They're called the cheddar garlic biscuits in here, so highly recommend checking out this book if you are into fresh milled. But I'm going to start off with 5 cups of fresh milled flour. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of honey. Then I'll do 2 tablespoons baking powder, 1 tablespoon garlic powder, a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm gonna add in 4 cups of cheese. So I just kind of do whatever cheese I have on hand. Right now I have a Monterey Jack with jalapeno, so it does have a little bit of spice. It's not bad, but if I were just adding a cheddar or something, I would also add some cayenne to these biscuits. Mix that in a little, and then we're gonna melt the butter and add that along with some buttermilk. All right, adding in a cup of butter along with 2 cups buttermilk, and then I'm gonna stir this together and actually set it aside because it is time to cook the bagels, so we'll do that in between. This dough smells so good. I think it's all those spices, and we got the butter. I always think of that. I think I'm also gonna add in just a little bit of parsley flakes. I did that the last time I made these, and they were so delicious. So I would say that's about 2 tablespoons. It's time to get started on baking our bagels. So what we're gonna do is hope that they don't stick to the counter. I had that once and it was a disaster, but I have water boiling with a little bit of brown sugar over here on the stove. So I'm just gonna boil them for about 30 seconds per side, and then we'll transfer them to our baking sheet. I sprinkled a little bit of cornmeal on here to prevent sticking, and then we'll bake them after they're boiled. I'm gonna brush these with an egg wash, and then we'll put some everything bagel seasoning, at least on this pan. Maybe I'll do some plain or some poppy seed, do some different toppings. A little bit backed up here by the stove and by a lack of cookie sheets. I often think of I should stock up on more. Still haven't been able to put my biscuits on the pan. However, I am melting some of the Lily's chocolate, which by the way, that's also what I put in my scones. But I thought it would be fun to also drizzle a little bit on top. So I'm melting that here. Got 1 pan of bagels, actually I think about done now, and then waiting to put the next one in. My pretzel buns are looking ready to pop in as well, so I'm just kind of waiting, cleaning up, and trying to keep things moving as best I can with the oven. But this is what the bagels look like. All these were with the everything bagel seasoning, and then my next pan I have some with sesame seeds and some with a cinnamon sugar. Okay, I'm gonna slather a bunch of melted butter on the bread here right out of the oven. And then I'll also cover it with a tea towel just to encourage further softening of the crust. All right, just pulled the last pan from the oven, which is our hot dog rolls. Let me show you a little up close. I had some of that leftover garlic butter from the biscuits, so I brushed that on top. But that was a lot of fun and a lot of work, but I'm excited to have this on hand to feed my family throughout the week. We have the fresh milled hot dog buns, of course, our sandwich loaves. We have the bagels with a couple different kinds of toppings. I ended up doing some with the everything bagel seasoning, some with the sesame seeds, the cinnamon sugar, and then some poppy seeds as well. We have our chocolate chip scones, our pretzel bites that we almost completely devoured here at lunchtime, and then our pretzel buns with the leftover dough, and of course our fresh milled biscuits here. So I hope that gave you some inspiration in your kitchen this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, friends.
Golden, golden thing.